Most businesses don't fail because their product is bad. They fail because the market never truly understood who they were, why they mattered, and why they were different. And if your audience can't place you in their mind, you end up becoming just another option, forced to compete on price, desperation, and endless ads. Today, I'm going to show you step by step how to create a brand positioning strategy that makes your business unmistakable, unforgettable, and impossible to ignore. In this video, we're going to cover how to identify your market position, the biggest mistakes brands make when it comes to positioning, and a simple framework to help you stand out even in the most competitive categories. And if you stay till the end of the video, I'll share with you a bonus insight that will take your positioning from clear to magnetic and become the kind of positioning that people remember, repeat, and connect to emotionally. Before we dive into the steps, let's get one thing straight, and that is what brand positioning actually means. Positioning isn't a tagline, it's not a series of messages that you put out, and it's definitely not the text from the hero section of your website. Positioning is the space that you occupy in your customers' minds. It's the meaning that people attach to your brand when they hear your name, and it is what differentiates you and makes you relevant as a business. Here's a couple of examples. If you think of Amazon, you think of convenience. If you think of Tesla, you think of innovation and sustainability. And Red Bull owns adrenaline, energy, and performance. None of that is accidental, it's engineered. And today you're going to learn how to engineer your own version of that. Step 1, know your audience at a deep level. You cannot position a brand without first knowing who you're positioning it for. This is where most brands fall apart. They define their audience by a broad set of demographics, as opposed to thinking also about the psychographics and narrowing down onto who their audience actually is, what they think, what they feel, what they believe, what they value. Consider what are their emotional drivers. A lot of businesses don't do this. They end up having a broad audience that they focus on, and it's really hard to position something if you don't know who you're positioning it for. Ask yourself the following: who are our ideal customers specifically? What problems, frustrations, or aspirations drive their decisions? And what emotional outcome are they truly buying? Remember, people don't buy products, they buy meaning and they buy transformation. For example, an accounting firm might think they sell tax services, but what their client really wants is peace of mind, clarity, and the freedom to focus on what they love. This one shift from functional to emotional is where your positioning can really amp up its power. Step number 2, map your competitors and market gaps. Positioning happens in context. Brands do not live in a vacuum. You need to understand the landscape you're entering or already playing in. So ask yourself, who are our direct competitors? What position do they already own or are they trying to own? What promises or emotions do they lead with, if any? And where is the white space, the unmet need, the overlooked angle in your market? One simple way to do this is with what we call an XY diagram or a positional map. And essentially it is, you have one axis going down the center and one going across, almost forming a cross like this. And essentially you map out two values across that axis, whether it is price, low to high one side, it could be luxury, it could be sort of affordable to luxury. However you want to position it. In particular markets, you might have a different variable. It's always good to map the price. That generally is something to look at. But the other one can be anything that is relevant to your particular category. For example, sports cars, you might have more sleek to more sporty or something like that. It could have less features, more features. Whatever it is that you think are the things that companies in your space are competing on, that's something to map. And then you can start to map out your competitors on this XY, and you can start to see where the gaps are. Now, there'll be gaps that open up on that XY diagram that you don't want to own. There'll be certain things like, I don't know, it might be low cost, low features. That might be something you want to own, but essentially it might not be. But you also might find a space somewhere else that is low cost, high features, something like that. So these are the things that you can look at. You can kind of see where you sit in this market already. And then you can think about where do we want to move to, or where are the gaps that we can move into essentially in that space. A way to think about this is to choose the axes that matter to your audience. So it might be price versus quality. It could be conservative versus innovative. It could be functional versus emotional. You want to plot the things that matter to your audience, and you can do this multiple times across multiple different axes to see where the gaps are and actually start to build this really differentiated positioning from your competitors. And the empty spaces reveal where opportunity lives. And most brands don't do this, and they don't think in this way. They try to be everything to everyone. And that's what makes them invisible to the market. Step number 3, identify your meaningful differentiation. Differentiation isn't about being quirky. It's about being meaningfully different in a way that your audience cares about. So we see this a lot with the work that we do when we look at clients that we have and we go through a process of a rebrand or a brand audit. And some of the situations we see is where they've tried to differentiate in the past, and what they think, a lot of people think of differentiation as just being radically different. And it's not about being radically different. It's about being different enough in a meaningful way in something that your audience believes in, cares about, is emotionally invested in. That's the important bit. And there's been a lot of studies on this. You don't need to be extremely different to stand out. You need to be different enough in a way that your audience takes notice to. And that's the most important thing. Your differentiation can come from a number of sources, including your offer or product innovation, your brand story, or what drives you as a business, your personality or archetype, how you connect with your audience emotionally, or even your category, creating a new lane rather than fighting in an old one. The key thing to think about is this: it has to be meaningfully different to your audience. So it must solve a real problem or unlock an unmet desire that your audience is currently searching for. If it doesn't matter to your audience, it's not differentiation, it's purely decoration. Step number 4 is to craft your positioning statement. And this is where everything comes together, and there is a simple formula that you can use. And that is, your brand name is the category that, key benefit or transformation for a particular audience, because reason to believe. So as an example, from our perspective at Elements Brand Management, it would be something like this. Elements Brand Management is the unified brand agency that helps businesses unlock their full potential and stand out in their market by combining strategy, creativity, story and psychology into one holistic framework. And this single sentence becomes the foundation for all of your messaging, brand identity going forward, website copy, and even the sales conversations that you have. And if your team can't recite exactly what you do and they can't remember what that is, then your audience won't either. Here's the bonus insight. So memorability beats complexity. So here's the part that most brands get wrong, and they try to explain too much. But the brands that win own one simple idea. For example, Volvo and safety, Nike and achievement, Airbnb and belong anywhere. Your goal isn't to initially communicate everything you do as a business. It is to anchor one clear emotional idea in the mind of your audience. Simplicity is power, emotion is glue, and memorability is everything when it comes to building an iconic, impactful brand. When you stop trying to sell everything and start owning one idea, your brand will become stronger, clearer, and far more memorable. Here's a quick recap. So here are the 4 steps to creating a powerful brand positioning strategy. 1, know your audience deeply. 2, map your competitors and market gaps. 3, identify meaningful differentiation. And 4, craft a clear, compelling positioning statement. When your positioning is unified and emotionally anchored, your marketing will become easier, your messaging sharper, and your brand becomes something that people can understand instantly and find it hard to ignore. This is how you stop competing and start standing out. So now you know how to craft a powerful brand positioning strategy. If you want to find out currently where your brand is strong, where it's weak, and where you can improve, there is a link in the description to a 4-minute brand power assessment. It takes you through about 20 questions, and at the end of it, you'll have a customized report that will highlight across the 5 key areas of your brand where you're strong and where you're weak and where you can improve. There's a link for that in the description below. If you're also struggling to build a strong, iconic, differentiated brand and you're not too sure where to start, we've actually put together a guide, the 6 strategic shifts that all brands must make in 2026 to thrive, stand out, and grow. And if you're interested in that, there is a link in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, hit the like button below. And if you want to see more videos, hit subscribe and the bell notification so that you're notified every time a new video drops. Videos come out weekly, and they're designed to help you unlock your brand's full potential so you can stand out from the competition and create more impact. Have a great week, catch up soon, and keep those brands unified.